CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. A state of emergency for the municipal district of Willow Creek has finally ended. Several hundred residents have returned home to assess damage from yesterday's wildfire. The fire began in the Mud Lake area, northwest of Fort Macleod. It was brought under control about 7 hours later, but not before it had burned barns, outbuildings, haystacks, fences, and fields. Alicia Fieldberg met with some of the people affected and brings us their story.
The barns are way over there, the hay shed, it burned.
Joanne Scott has lived on this small farm for nearly 30 years. Now half of it is ashes.
We lost our kitty cats, then we lost our bunkhouse, and we lost a chicken house and a granary.
Fire ripped through the Fort Macleod region Wednesday afternoon, quickly spreading east because of high wind. Smoke was so thick, Alberta Health Services issued a health advisory.
Times you couldn't see, like it was just blank. You didn't know where you were going. It was that thick. It just was terrible actually at times.
Emergency crews from several surrounding areas, Hutterite colonies, and the Piikani Nation battled the blaze throughout the night and remained today to knock down isolated fires. 4 firefighters were treated for injuries, including smoke inhalation and exhaustion.
We would have never have got these fires out without this effort by everyone.
Crews managed to save all houses in the path of the fire. Only the porch door of Scott's home was burned.
Kind of numb for a few minutes, you know, like you got to get your bearings like.
Fire investigators suspect improper disposal of wood stove ashes sparked the blaze. The municipal district is under a fire ban, and officials are urging everyone to take precautions, especially under times of high winds.
No open fires, no welding, no disposal of any burning materials. It is dangerously a high fire hazard in the MD of Willow Creek and surrounding area.
Those affected by the fire are now relying on family, friends, and neighbors to help them pick up the pieces.
There's a lot of cleaning up to do, but the colony, Grantham Colony, said they'd come and help us clean up this mess.
Alicia Fieldberg, CTV News, near Fort Macleod.
A fund has already been set up to help one of the families that was devastated by yesterday's fire as the flames swept across fields and pastures. They destroyed many of the buildings and shelters on the ranch owned by SR Horse Training. Terry Vogt reports.
Firefighters were back at SR Horse Training Thursday, hosing down smoldering ruins and still smoking piles and patches of wood, plastic, and grass. Sandy and Gord Hester don't know the final figure yet, but they do know damage is extensive.
That's my life, that's my house, that's everything for the horses. Like I said, we got horses from babies to 30 years old, and they need a home, and our food's gone, all our supplies.
The Hesters were among a handful of families caught in the path of a wildfire that began northwest of Fort Macleod. Sandy was away from home when she got the call.
As I was driving, the smoke was piling, and we started phoning people, and my friends were phoning people with trailers because we knew it was coming too fast. We had to get our family out, all the horses, dogs.
With the support of friends, neighbors, and complete strangers, the Hesters were able to get all 55 horses to safety. But insurance won't cover the cost of replacing the outbuildings. And they also lost hay, fences, and shelters.
It's going to take a while to rebuild. After you've had a business 40 years, it's sad.
The Hesters say when the fire came through, they didn't really have time to be afraid. They just knew they had to keep going to save what they could, to save the horses and get them to safety. People are now feeding and looking after those animals. Other friends stood guard through the night, making sure none of the fires flared up again. The Hesters say somehow they'll survive.
We'll wake up someday and figure it's a new year, a new start, and with friends, family, we can get through.
Terry Vogt, CTV News, near Fort Macleod.
A fund for Sandy and Gord Hester has been set up at the CIBC in Fort Macleod. And we have an update for you on a fire crew that was rushing to the Willow Creek blaze when they ran into some trouble themselves. Their truck from the Moon River Volunteer Fire Department flipped on its roof on Highway 23 as they headed towards the blaze. A collision analyst from Lethbridge RCMP has determined that the driver lost control when the vehicle was caught by a wind gust. 2 firefighters were injured. One had minor injuries. The other was taken to hospital in Calgary. He's reported to be in serious but non-life-threatening condition. Well, now that the flames are out near Nanton, homeowners are left picking up the pieces there. Fire started yesterday when wind blew down power lines. RCMP say 5 homes have either been destroyed or are badly damaged by the flames. Officials also say 7 outbuildings were destroyed along with some vehicles. Karen Legault's property was damaged. It's been a terrible few days for her. We first introduced you to her when their dogs were poisoned on their property last week. Today, though, they're grateful that their fire damage wasn't worse.
Minutes it was here. We're very lucky that our house was spared, probably because it's just new, just hardly completed, so no grass in the yard right around it, which fire went on either side.
No homeowners were injured in either fires, but a number of animals died, and Legault's lost 2 horses and at least 6 sheep. The home closest to where the fire started was a cat sanctuary, and about 60 cats were killed. Fire officials say it's too early for a tally of the cost, but it will be in the millions. Now, there was a 3rd wildfire, this one near Walsh yesterday, east of Medicine Hat. It's believed to have started by spontaneous combustion. High temperatures and the sun beating down on bales of hay. The blaze crossed the border into Saskatchewan as well. Fire crews from the counties of Cypress, 40 Mile, Newell, the city of Medicine Hat, and Saskatchewan all helped put out the blaze. Well, Dory, the good news is we've got some really warm temperatures, but that's not going to last all that long.
Yeah, and most people, I think, would rather have some cooler temperatures, less wind, and less chance of the windstorm situation that we had yesterday. We will lose the wind on Saturday. It'll be back with us for 2 more days, but by Tuesday, it looks like periods of snow on the way, and that might not be a bad thing.
Thanks, Dory. Now, meanwhile, surprisingly, there weren't any wind warnings in southwestern Alberta today, and the warning in the southeast corner of the province have now ended. With wild winds over the past few weeks, we wanted to know how the wind affects you. Here's some of your responses.
I'm a farmer, and it's pretty scary, and we have equipment hooked up just in case a fire does starts in our area. And
really not very much. I'm not subject to depression in the wind, and these are warm breezes, so I like a warm breeze in January.
I like the warm weather, and I'm used to wind. We come from Saskatchewan and Manitoba.
In fact, I stay out of it as much as I can.
Well, I stay home. I mean, it affects me very badly. It runs right through my body. So.
Meanwhile, a Cranbrook man has been charged after a fatal drunk driving accident on New Year's Day in that community. Ronald Capello has been charged in the drunk driving death of a 21-year-old Cranbrook woman. The woman was a passenger in the vehicle that Capello was driving that rolled. The woman was thrown from the vehicle and pronounced dead at the scene. 4 other occupants of the vehicle had minor injuries. The name of the woman has not been released at the request of her family. Capello faces charges of impaired driving causing death, dangerous driving causing death, as well as failure to stop at the scene of an accident. Well, the families of 3 victims killed in a murder-suicide near Clare's home last month will attend a local memorial planned in their honor. On December 15th, Derek Jensen gunned down Tabitha Steppel, Mitch McLean, Tanner Craswell, and Shayna Conway before killing himself. Conway was shot 3 times but survived and continues to recover in a Calgary hospital. She has said she is determined to attend the memorial. Mitch and Tanner, both from PEI, were attending the Prairie Baseball Academy in Lethbridge, and Tabitha grew up in Lethbridge. The memorial to honor the victims will be held January 14th at the Lethbridge NMAX Centre. A retired financial planner says Canada is undergoing a pandemic of white-collar crime. Larry Elford worked inside some of the largest financial institutions in Canada until his retirement in 2004. And today he presented his views on what he calls financial malpractice in Canada. Elford says professionals have been preying upon citizens, driving them into financial hardships or even ruin, adding there has been an incredible amount of wealth transfer between the middle and upper classes. Elford says it's not a recession, it's white-collar crime.
It's not a recession. It's something that a lot of people would like to say a recession because that's the easy term. I'm going to show you today that it's a robbery. And it's a robbery by people that we generally trust to provide us with honest services. And that there's a breakdown in that trust in the last, it's gradual over the 20 years that I worked in the industry.
Now, Elford recommends people be very vigilant in their investments. Well, if you haven't heard yet, you can now check out all of our news, weather and sports online. We're on Facebook at CTV Lethbridge, but you don't have to have Facebook to watch. You can just type in CTV and Facebook in your search engine, along with Lethbridge, like Google. You can, or your search engines like Google rather, and you can watch our shows. You can also follow us on Twitter, where we post the latest news videos as well. Check us out. Coming up next, a look at the markets.